right, yes, sir. Another beautiful Monday. It's here. Rock City 101.9 FM Daybreak Show. Citizens Forum this morning. Dele Ayodo is my name.
I am Tobi Joseph. Like I mentioned earlier, on Citizens Forum this morning, then I, of course, have been joined by our guest in the studio. We'll be looking at 2019 elections and the responsibility and task of INEC in midwifing a free, fair, and credible elections. Don't forget, it's always a very thorny and tumultuous road to the general elections, especially as regards the many hula baloo that is generated by politicians. Many of their antiques, many of their tricks will of course come into play. But before then, the issue of registration of voters is very important. The issue of weeding out ghosts, or what do you call it, fake names into the voters register is also of paramount importance. How many registered voters do we have right now in Nigeria on the list of INEC? How many people have collected their permanent voters card? That is another very important factor when it comes to election. Apart from that, voter apathy is one issue that people have complained about. Are we going to see a decline in voter apathy, which will translate to an increase in the number of voters, valid votes actually, that will culminate into victory for many of the parties that will contest in the elections. Apart from that, the issue of election dispute is also one of it. Before now, the argument then has been that we should set up an electoral tribunal that will fast track cases of electoral dispute. At the same time, you also want to talk about the timeline timeline of resolution of party disputes as regards candidates or candidacy, so that INEC will not be saddled with fighting cases in court when parties take themselves to court over who should be the appropriate candidate or the authentic candidate or authentic list, as it were, to be recognized by INEC. These are some of the issues we'll be looking at this morning, and we have in the studio Barrister Mutiu Agboke, the Resident Electoral Commissioner of INEC in Oyo State, the Presidential State. Yeah, welcome to the Daybreak Show once again,
Good morning.
All right, Barrister Agboke, we're talking about 2019 INEC and the electoral matters. Some changes have been introduced by INEC as a way of ensuring that we have a credible, fair election. One of those introduced issue is the transmission of results electronically at different points. And the point raised by those who are skeptical about this is, have we developed to this stage? Did we consider all the constituents, all the wards, the geographical locations of these polling booths before deciding on this?
Dele, thank you. And I'm very pleased to be here this morning after a long period of sabbatical, if you allow me. And I find this opportunity to be auspicious this morning so that our people can be properly educated and informed. One of such misinformation that we need re-education for is what Dele has just asked me. It is not yet a policy of INEC that we are going to start transmission of results or anything from the polling booth.
In 2019.
It is not a policy.
That's interesting.
It is what we are looking into. That is where we think we are carrying the process to. That is the destination that we aspire to be. But for now, the situation is still the normal practice. At the polling booth, we ensure the proper organization of our staff and the voting process. And we have our officers at different levels. This we have showcased in Anambra governorship election. The rerun that we just had the senatorial Anambra senatorial election. We have our SPOs. We have, apart from the SPO, that is supervisory, presiding officers, we have supervisors. I was there as a supervising rec with other rec brothers from other states. There were other officers from the headquarters who ensured each stage of the election was properly conducted and monitored. We have what we call registration area centers, which we call RAC. It's a kind of an arrangement that INEC has made. From the local government, you move to the RAC center, you organize your ad hoc staff, you tutor them before deploying them to various polling units. So all these are the arrangements we have on ground. For the purpose of the polling unit, polling booth, that is what INEC is looking up to, and we are going to get there with our technology.
Okay, now the other issue people have also talked about is when it started, it was seen as a positive innovation, the issue of card reader for elections. The last election, which we talked about, not the senatorial, the governorship in Anambra, there were complaints about this same card reader thing. Obviously, card reader will be used in 2019. Do you think INEC have stepped up as regards this card reader issue?
The card reader is one of the innovations that we have brought into electioneering process in Nigeria, and that is why we have to give it to the immediate past leadership of the commission, and most importantly, the current leadership. Card reader was introduced even with vehement opposition from the political parties, from the politicians in particular. Even at that, we moved ahead, we made a point, international community agreed with us, and that election made a difference. That is not to say there were no issues here and there. It is a gradual process. Now, the purpose of card reader with the permanent voter cards, the two of them joined together are meant to ensure that sanity is brought into the process. And that is why, if you look at it, card readers were used to authenticate and accredit voters during that election. We have some of them that were malfunctioning then. We have some of them that did not even come up at all. Not to even talk of being available to be used in the process. All these issues, we have looked into them. As I'm talking to you now, there are so many things that we are looking into that must not impede the success that we are yearning for. So either card reader, either all the issues surrounding the foreign voter card, collation centers, the relation of word and the registration area, all of them, we are looking at them. For me, what we had in 2015 is not going to be like what we are going to have in 2019. As human beings, we will plan. Our prayer is God Almighty should be on our side so that we can deliver to the expectation of the entire electorate of Nigeria.
All right, Barrister Agboke. My question will come on the heels of Dele's first question as regards collation of transmitting the results electronically from the polling unit. What will it take INEC to make sure that this is a reality?
Toby, I'm not saying INEC will not make it happen.
Okay.
We have listened from the headquarters. We have listened to so many comments, editorials to the effect that INEC has announced. That is misinformation. We have not announced. Until a particular process becomes a policy to be delivered, we don't come to the public and start making noise about it. Until we are ready and we have showcased it. Of course, if between now and the next election that we have, we have two elections.
Yes.
Oyo State, Ekiti State. One will start from April When I say April, election is a process.
Yes.
So the process of
producing candidates
we start April. Another one will start in October. Now, between now and that period, if our process has been properly done, we have completed it, our technology has been fixed correctly, we can test run in either Osun or Ekiti. Everybody will see. The level of the success in either of these two elections will determine the probability of whether we are going to make use of it in 2019 or not. But as at now, the process is ongoing. Our ICT department is not sleeping. They are doing it, test running, trying to evaluate the workability or otherwise, so that Nigerians will not be disappointed in us.
All right. Now, one very important factor in elections is the number of voters that have their PVCs. The INEC has continued to encourage voters and people to go out, and collect their PVCs. People still have issues with maybe change of name, change of location,
Yes.
And some other issues.
Okay.
Are all these issues going to be resolved?
Tobi,
to increase the number of people
they are being resolved, and that is why I'm very happy that today we have this opportunity. I want to start from your question, from the point of view of making people realize the fact that the sole duty or mandate of INEC is not just to organize election. Somebody will say, after the election, for the period of 4 years, what else do you do? You guys just sit in the offices, you just enjoy the public, this and that, and nothing more. That is not correct. If you look at section, look at the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution. The third schedule of the 1999 Constitution, paragraph F of that Constitution, if you look at the heading, provide for the independent National Electoral Commission. If you look at section 1, it talks about the appointment of the chairman, talks about the composition of INEC.
Yes.
If you go down to section 2, you will see the qualification of the National Commissioner and the chairman. Section 3 talks about the appointment and the qualification of Resident Electoral Commissioner. If you go down, it talks about who is eligible to be appointed the Resident Electoral Commissioner. Now this is not where I'm going. Go to section 5 of that Constitution, that paragraph of third schedule. It talks about the functions, the duties or mandate given to INEC. INEC is not just to conduct election to the office of the president and the vice president, the governor or the deputy governor or the member of the National Assembly or State Assembly alone. INEC, Tobi, is to register political parties. I know so many people have raised questions. Why is INEC adding burden to its responsibility? When the law says this is your responsibility, you cannot go beyond, you cannot go below. The duty of INEC is to continue to register, is to continue to register, is to continue to register, notwithstanding the number of the political parties. Having registered, the mandate of the INEC is to ensure these political parties are monitored and their finances are also monitored and audited. The political parties must prepare their financial statement, which must be given to the INEC. INEC will evaluate it. INEC must issue a report.
Yes.
Are you following now? The report must be published for the public to see and to know. Not only that, INEC Dele is to maintain voters register. INEC is to review voters register of voters. INEC is to ensure that further powers are delegated to the various resident electoral commissioners that have been appointed. But most importantly here is the issue of the registration of voters you have mentioned. If you look at the language of the Constitution, The law says INEC shall ensure there is continuous voters registration. Tobi, in the history of INEC in Nigeria, this is the first time the proper language of the law is being given effect to. And what do I mean? The law says continuous voters registration. Whereas hitherto, what INEC used to do was to just state manage a particular registration for the electorate a week, a month, or 2 months to the election, which of course is irregular and is totally incongruous with the provision of the content of the Constitution. So now that CVR, we call it CVR, continuous voters registration, we started April last year. April last year was the first phase. We now continue with the second phase. The third phase last year ended in December 21st. This year we have entered into first phase, and it's a continuous one. Now you don't ask me, what do we do during this period? The purpose of the CVR this time is for 3 categories of people. Category 1, for those people whose name has not entered our voters registered at all. In other words, such people or group of them, they have not attempted to register at all since we have been doing registration in Nigeria. Number 2, this exercise, the CVR, is for those people whose data has not been properly captured by our system, by our technology, such that either Tobi or Dele, you have your temporary voters card. Somebody just called me now that his oga has the temporary voters card. They have gone to the local where they registered. They could not give them their PVC. I told the person, I said, even myself, I had the same problem. When I got there, I was educated that no, oga, what happened was your VIN number, Tobi, there's what you call VIN number. That VIN number must be a complete number. It must, thank you, it must not be disorganized. None of them must miss. If it is not properly, given to us by our system, then it means your data in our system is incomplete. Therefore, you cannot have a complete VIN number, which technically cannot lead to the production of your permanent voters card.
Okay, now.
No, I'm coming. That is for second category of people. The third one, Dele, are those people who, at the time we are doing the registration, they have turned into 18 years. They are now 18 years, making them to be eligible for the registration. This is basically for the 3 people. Yes. During this period too, we assist you to move your voting right. Your voting right. If you are living in Ota before, now you are now permanently resident in Abeokuta. Don't say, let me go to Yano Mortuary or where is it? In Abeokuta North. In Abeokuta North, our office in Akomoje. Or say, let me just go to any of them. Let me go and do fresh registration. If you do that, Tobi, that is a criminal offense. No matter how highly you are a criminal if you do multiple. So what you do is come to us. Hey, sir, I have been living in Ota. Now I have my new duplex in Abeokuta. I am now in Abeokuta. What do I do? There is a form. We give it to you, you fill. We help you to move your voting right from Ota to Abeokuta. That is one. If your PVC is defaced, if the details on your PVC cannot properly be seen, what do? We collect it, we retrieve it from you, we ask you to fill a form, we help you to print another one. Not only that, Tobi, what I told you is intrastate. The one I told you is intra. If you are living in Abuja before, now you are living in Kogi, what you need to do is not to say you forgot the registration in Abuja. Come to us. Come and inform us. We give you a form. We help you to transfer. So these are the things that we do. And somebody, wanted to contest. His voting right was in Abuja. He wanted to contest in Kogi, but he felt that there's no need. Let me do a fresh one. You saw the consequence, though we are still on it. But the point is, our people should know that there's nothing for them to worry about. Some of them have called us to say, we have too much queues. People are not allowed, they are not attending to us. It's a gradual process.
Okay, he's still on this issue. But there'll be some people who say, okay, it's so smooth the way you've analyzed it,
Yes.
and so clinical. But only last week,
Yes.
there were two of our callers on this program.
Yes.
One claimed he registered in Cross River.
Yes.
Then he now resides in Abeokuta.
Yes.
And he has been trying since last year to get all this process done. It's either they say ask him to go and bring something in Cross River, or they ask him to do something. So it's not as smooth as this. I also told you before coming on air of somebody who lost his. He registered at Yewa South local government, and just getting the new one is so difficult. He has to go back. If he did not get to Yewa South,
Yes.
he cannot do it. Why don't we have a centralized system where the place of reporting all this information you ask for will be shown, and the person, the mistake can be corrected?
Dele, you see, for the specific one you mentioned, how I wish the person called back so that I can be able to understand the perspective of his predicament. Such things are not difficult. They are not difficult. You see, to centralize for somebody who has registered before may be a situation where we have cause to create another bottleneck. What we have said is, if you have any difficulty in moving your voting right, we send you to our officers that will educate you. If you have any issues along the way, let us know so that we address it. The thing is, I will give out some specific numbers for our people that they can call our officers on ground. If they have issues, they should call me. That is what INEC activities should not be. It's not shrouded in secrecy. There's no big deal about it. Let us know the specific and peculiar problems that you are having, so that we can treat it peculiarly and we can move on from there. But if there are other suggestions, other technological device we can use, we are all looking at it. Public can give us ideas, and we're open to all this. But for now, these are the arrangements that we have made, and we expect our people to come up, to rise up, to hearken to the call of the INEC, so that we can be able to achieve it together. Oyo State is for everybody, and if anybody is having any problem, you can call the admin, you can call the HOD, voter education and publicity. You can call any of them. If you have any difficulty, they will attend to you.
All right. You also talked about process of an election, and of course, to some people, one of the very, very important process stage is the nomination of the candidates. Excuse me, by the political parties, what we call primaries, because that's where you produce who. And right now, the role of INEC has only been pegged at observatory. The best INEC can do is to be ready to submit itself in the court as a witness when the process is not clean. And to so many people, this is the stage in which one election is won and lost or rigged, the process of the party primary. Is it not time, in readiness for the next election, that INEC should be more active in ensuring that these party primaries are largely acceptable? Because nowadays, many of the litigations are premised on party primaries.
All the pre-election matters.
Yes.
Now, you see, we are developing with our democratic values and democratic traditions, and there is no that kind of democracy, though it is still the same democracy. But if you look at it very well, the faces are not the same thing. Even the US, they have their challenges. But what we are doing in INEC is that INEC is engaging stakeholders. We are doing education, re-education, and re-education. Somebody that believes he knows, we take him not to know anything. And we assume that all of us, we have to learn. So we come to the round table and study the process together. One of the key stakeholders is the political parties. And if you look at these political parties, you discover that there are still so many challenges confronting them in terms of ideology, in terms of their aims and objectives, in terms of their peculiar way of doing their things. But the role of INEC, like I said, is to monitor them, ensure they operate as political parties. So in achieving that, what do? We engage them. They have what we call inter-party advisory council, under which all of them come together. Regardless of the party you belong, this umbrella body, assist INEC to coordinate the activities of these political parties. We try to give them the proper political values, the proper, conception of what party means in the real democratic context. The proper attitude to political parties that should not be seen as a tool for electioneering alone. The proper tool that can be used to better the lot of the people. The better tool that can be used to organize the life of the people. The better tool that can be used to shaping the governance. That is what INEC is doing. We have conferences, we have seminars, we invite, as I'm talking now, on the 29th of this month, I think next Monday or thereabout, we are going to talk, discuss extensively, with stakeholders, these stakeholders, i.e. the political parties, by organizing a special lecture that we tag towards 2019 general elections, political parties and internal democracy. Dele, do you know some of the problems that usually land us in court normally stemmed from these political parties
pre-election
matters, majorly lack of internal democracy. This is to tell you how far INEC is thinking. INEC is just drinking tea and coffee. People believe much are not being done. As much as we are trying to put all this together, our appeal, that's where I'm now going, is to now talk to our political parties that some of this effort INEC is putting in place should not be scuttled or jeopardized by them.
Now, the other issue, based on INEC's timetable, first election will come February 16, and then another election March 2nd. That's about 2 weeks or plus, over 14 days of election. Election starts 7 a.m. and when you look at when results are released, collected, and about in some places 6 p.m., 7, that's about 13 hours. And there are people who have said, wait a minute, these are time wasted, stress and all these things. When are we going to have less stressful election where we won't have election of 14-15 days and queue of about 12-13 hours before results are gotten 72 hours after?
Dele, we are all aspiring for the ideal, and INEC is sleeping and waking up with that vision of doing the ideal. As I'm talking to you now, 2019 election is 389 days, 22 hours, 11 minutes, 32 seconds. This formula is in the public domain.
It's an INEC website.
Thank you. Just go there, continue to monitor this. As the days are dropping, you are all conversant with what we are going to do. That's number one. Before we now get to the ideal, you see, we have an ideal that you are pursuing, INEC is trying to create a soft landing for itself that will better the process and also be acceptable to the public. One of such things, again, is our early release of the timetable for the first time in the history of the INEC in Nigeria. And we have done this for everybody to know. Dele, as you are seated here, you can determine the date of the general election in the next 1,000 years. So if God gives you the grace to live beyond now, as much as you are going to either 70 or 60 or 80 now, because Dele will look younger, but apparently he's not young. You can determine that in the next 50 years, this is the date of election. And you now ask me, how did we come up with this? Go to the February of the election year. If we have election in 2019, when next are we supposed to have the next election? 2023. Go to February, Tobi. February of 2023. Go to the third Saturday of that February. That is the date of the next election. All you need to do is just to add 2 weeks to it. 2 weeks after, we have governorship, we have House of Assembly. So, the process of making the date of election to be definite is an innovation that we have to give applause to INEC for, and INEC must be commended. In this situation, your wedding ceremony cannot clash again. Incidentally, Tobi has just done his birthday, so that one has gone. So your burial ceremony can never clash. You know the dates. You know what you are going to do. That is, how far we have gone. We released a timetable early enough for you to know, when to collect the forms, for you to know when we are going to do the conduct of the primary, for you to know the commencement of the campaigns of political parties, for you to know the last day of the submission of form CF001 and CF002, for you to know publication of personal particular of candidate, for you to know last day for withdrawal by a candidate stroke replacement of withdrawn candidate by political parties, for you to know last day for the submission of nomination forms by political parties, for you to know publication of official register of voters for the election by INEC, for you to know publication of list of nominated candidates, for you to know publication of notice of poll for election, and for you to know the submission of names of party agents for the election, and finally for all the political parties and electorate to know the last day for the campaigns of by the candidates. All these are in public domain. You can know it, you can see it. But any other things we are observing, INEC reviews, INEC ruminates, INEC ensure every week in my headquarters, my national commissioners and the chairman, they have their weekly meetings to review everything, to review the process. Dele, you are aware as I am that just last week or two, the chairman and national commissioners, they visited the CJN to tell him some of the areas that were not clear to the commission, and the CJN responded. These are the practical steps that we are taking. As we are progressing to the election period, we are going to critically engage all these stakeholders. We will get there. We don't need to waste resources. We need to maximize our resources and still get the result that we want.
All right, Barrister Agboke, I want us to quickly look at one thing. You've talked about what INEC is doing.
Yes.
To enlighten the public. Many people believe that the NOA, that is the National Election Agency, have a lot of role to play in sensitizing the people,
Yes.
and of course mobilizing them
Yes.
to exercise their franchise during elections.
Yes.
Is there a kind of collaboration between INEC and NOA to massively carry out this campaign and increase or decrease the number of the percentage of voter apathy?
Tobi, not just NOA, not just NOA. As I'm talking to you now, in all the states of the federation, INEC has integrated all the stakeholders into various committees, into various groups. Apart from NOA, we have what we call Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Systems. That committee is for security. In my state, I am the chairman of the committee, and the commissioner of police is the co-chairman. In that committee, Tobi, we have the soldier, the military, we have the FRSC, we have the NSDC, we have the custom, we have the NDLEA, we have the immigration, we have all other paramilitary, agencies. That is one engagement. This committee I have told you, we call it ISES, is not only for the state. At various local government, our electoral officers, they engage them. The DSS is also a member.
Yes.
And that is on that aspect of the security. For the purpose of publicity, not just the NOA. We engage NOA, we engage the NYSC, we engage broadcasting organizations, and all of them, we carry them along to be in tune with our activities, so that the joint effort of all these agencies will produce the results that we want. NOA is very critical, quote and unquote, if you allow me, the mandate of NOA is to make noise.
Yes.
And when I say make noise, they are meant to carry our activities, our information, our various line of activities that we do to the members of the public. So where we need to assist ourselves, we do. But on regular basis, we are together and we will continue to be together.
All right. Quickly, before we take that break, let me ask you. You have stated it. Part of the constitutional duties of INEC is to register political parties. As of today, there are about 67 of them. As an election administrator, is this good for practice?
Dele, it is good for practice as much as that practice is within the context and confinement of the legal framework that empowers INEC to do so.
So it does not matter if you have 100 political
As I'm talking to you now, INEC has over 90 applications pending. Applications by various associations. It's associations that come together to form political parties. We have over 90 applications. So it is not a question of, we are not stopping at that yet. Provided any association meet the criteria set by the commission, why not? What's our interest?
And be allowed to
yes, that has been tested in court. The Supreme Court said, no. What's your interest? Why do you have to register or not register anybody? If the law says you have to register,
so it does not have adverse effect on your preparation for the
election. That is our calling. We have been cut out for it. Somebody was saying, I was on a program, somebody said, how do you do your ballot papers? Where are you going to? Is it going to be Kumba song? It is because you are not there. You are not on that. We are capable for it and we will deliver.
All right, we must take this break to allow the 10 o'clock news to come back. After that, we'll still have the Resident Electoral Commissioner of Oyo State, Barrister Mutiu Agboke, here with us. We are looking at 2019 election matters as it affects you and me. Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. Stay tuned. You for still being there. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. Citizens Forum this morning, 2019 electoral matter. INEC role this time around. Now with us is the Resident Electoral Commissioner in Oyo State, Mutiu Agboke. Well, straight on, let's permit you, listeners, I know many of you are eager yearning to say something, question, comment. But let's remind ourselves that this must be done within the rules, the style of the show. Number one, we will not take insult, abuse on any individual or personality as you make your comment. Don't come out with claims that you cannot or cannot be substantiated. No deliberate falsehood, no propaganda or outright lies. 2 minutes is the maximum time allocated for each call. And please, this is very, very important. Move away from the radio or you switch it off when you are putting that call through.
All right, 080986873440
Listening to you this morning. Let me start with your observations. Of course, there is no state that you go that you will not see the volume of the uncollected PVCs, in all these states. For example, in Oyo State where I just left, last week, we had over 370,000 PVCs uncollected across the 18 local government in Oyo State. Anyway, I don't know about Ogun State. I know, of course, Ogun State will also have its issues. But the point we are saying is, for us, we have deliberated on what are the methods that we can use to get these people. But we have discovered that there are so many factors, which some of them I can't say here. But it is also dangerous for us. It's going to be a disservice for our system if we start calling them and asking them to come and collect these PVCs, because some people are already standing by to buy these PVCs. So how do you now ascertain the genuineness or otherwise of the person that claims the number or the name you have called? So we have looked at so many issues on this, but I want to tell you, before the first quarter of this year ends, we are going to come out officially on what we are going to do with all those uncollected PVCs. So don't worry, we will get there, we will achieve it. Akinmakin, like I said, the mandate that we swore to oath to carry out is to register political parties, to organize them, to coordinate them, to monitor them. This we are doing. We cannot on our own disallow the existence or coming to existence of any group of association or group of individuals. Once you satisfy the condition we stipulate, it is within the legal framework that binds us that we must register you. And that is our responsibility. The issue of being cumbersome of any item of the election we are going to use, I've said it, leave that to us. Leave that to us. By 2019, you will see the modality we are going to come up with. And whatever form that we know we accommodate the list of this political party is what we are going to come up with. So everybody must know. It may be a good idea, it may be a good suggestion, but for us as a body so created by statute, we do not have any interest, and we cannot show any interest, and we cannot show any opinion. The law says registered, that's what we have done. We will continue to register as it is. The correlation between national ID card and the PVC, of course, the commission is liaising and collaborating with NIMC and so many other agencies like that. These are the things I told you, that we are not just sleeping. We are looking at our technology. Which one can we improve on? Which one can we phase out? Which one can we allow to go on? So by the time we come up with our position, you all know. But as I'm talking to you now, your power to vote, the instrument for it is permanent voters card. I want to assure you that there is no system that is not facing one challenge or the other. There is no perfect system anywhere. But I think our duty and our attitude specifically is what we have to change. Our behavior, our worldview, our idiosyncrasy, the way we think, the way we perceive things, for somebody to believe that no, we must continue to thrive in corruption, we must continue to thrive in irregularities. We don't have the culture of doing things right. These are the things I think we have to change our worldview about. The INEC is poised to ensure that we deliver on our mandate. And that is what the current leadership is standing for. Today, we have so many things that are guiding the operations of our officials. As I'm talking to you, we have come up with INEC strategic plan, which is not only for the election itself alone, but also to guide the operations and activities of our officials. And this strategic plan covered 2017 to 2021. Not only that, we have our rules and regulations that we have designed to monitor our officials. And our officials, they know that whatever they do must be in line with the law. We have the rules of procedure. We have designed and come up with code of conduct for our officials. You saw what happened to our officers that went on the frolic of their own vis-a-vis the Kogi State governor. And the commission has the power to discipline any of its officials, which of course we have done. So I think the public should know that the leadership of Professor Mutiu Agboke is out to ensure that we do our best. And that is why all our activities are everywhere. Every Thursday, you see our programs on the radio. On AIT on Monday 9:30, you watch what our INEC is doing. So we are very sincere. We are open. Nigerian should rest assured. Now, Mr. Guleye, you are still expecting your PVC. I can assure you that since you have filled the form and they have collected it from you, I'm aware some PVCs are being printed now. So if you have done it and your form has gone earlier enough with those ones to Abuja, I'm sure very soon some PVCs will be released and everybody that need to collect their PVCs will be given to them.
All right, let's quickly look at the messages coming in via the shuttle. Engineer Joseph says, good morning. I have issues with the INEC. I registered at Owu opposite the palace before 2015 general elections. I could not get my PVC, but I have the TVC with me. Up to now, I have not been able to get a PVC. I have been to INEC office at Iberekodo many times, and up to now, no result. What can I do? This one from Dr. Chris Omotosho. You spoke so well, Barrister, but it is not as easy as you painted the picture. The fact is, a lot of Nigerians are disenfranchised once they change their locations. For one reason or the other, with the current level of technological advancement, is it not possible to have a central registration such that one should be able to use a voter's card, just like an ATM card, anywhere in the country? Good morning. Okay. This one has nothing to do with what we're discussing this morning, but we acknowledge your message, Lugbebi Bola. Salam alaikum, Barrister Agboke. One, why is it that when elections is going on in one state, all law enforcement agents in the other state will be forced to go there, but during general elections, everybody will take care of his own state? Two, what can INEC do to Anambra or Ekiti election, doing separately now, due to the tribunal judgment then, to be done at the same time with the general elections. Well,
I don't get that. I don't get that. But I get the
No,
first one.
he wants
The
a
second
situation
one is
where rather than having these elections separate days, they
maybe
should
the
all
dates.
come the same time. The Ekiti, Oshun, Anambra
No, that's the
governors.
first one. Which one? The second
No,
one.
the second is what can INEC do uh, to Anambra or Shrekiti election
Oh,
separately?
that's okay.
That's
I
what
got
he
it.
meant.
I got it.
All right, those are the questions. Let's go to the tweets. Sorry. Sorry, this one says one of the problems of an electoral commission is a lack of enough funds to carry out their mandate. How can this be solved? That is Adenekon Oluwaseun. Dr. Dele tweeted this. Can Barrister Agboke please suggest one major reform that can guarantee internal democracy within political parties in Nigeria? Uh, Adenokoluwashon says the various political parties sometimes engage in unnecessary criticisms of the Electoral Commission. Some people even go as far as to run the commission down with the purpose of discrediting it in preparation for rejecting the election result. How do you solve this? Sir, how did INEC generate funds? And do you think INEC has the power to sanction parties over excess campaign funds? Lastly, sir, do you have a voter's card? And how do you vote? That's still Adeneko Oluwaseun. Mercy Femi says, good morning to you all. It is not easy to get PVC or field form at local government INEC offices. Abeokuta South, Yanomochari as a case study. Yemi Phillips Da Vinci says, I want to commend INEC for their continued growth in trying to sanely conduct elections in Nigeria. Though it's not been easy because of the nature of our people, the Commission is really trying. Kudos. The number of political parties will not be an issue if we jettison ballot boxes and use straight digital voting. But it's like, okay, when in your estimation will this be possible? Talking about digital voting, electronic voting. Yemi Da Vinci once again, what modalities is INEC putting in place to ensure polling officers are not enticed with pecuniary gains to mess or tamper with the voting process? There was an allegation in a southwest state that the civil servants' PVCs are being cloned by the state government for purpose of elections. Is it possible for PVCs to be cloned or someone else use another person's PVC? Professor Agola AA once again, in all past elections till date, PVC card readers have constituted major electoral problems. What is INEC doing to solve these problems? Yemi Phillips Da Vinci once again, my mother went to Yanomochari INEC office up to 10 times before the 2015 elections, and up to now, she doesn't have her PVC. Yet INEC website says she's a registered voter. Is someone using a PVC to vote? Tonatson says, how can INEC stop incumbent political office holders, especially governors, from using state resources to campaign for re-election? Olariwaju Ajayi says, Barrister, sir, I want to ask, can't INEC put a platform in place in which when your PVC is ready, you receive SMS alert to go for collection instead of going to INEC office every time, wasting TFIA and being told that PVC is not ready? To Natsin, once again, what's INEC doing to curtail the incumbency factor, that is the influence of current political office holders in manipulating election results?
Okay. So much to answer. No problem.
Yes.
No problem. Yes, let me start with the last one. We are regulating the activities of all political parties, including their candidates. During the election, we have a system we call tracking. Our officers, they monitor the number of posters that you paste. They look at they quantify what you spend on your campaigns. They look at the way you do things and be able to know whether you are within the law. Tobi, if you look at the section 91 of Electoral Act, That is where it is. Somebody was asking, do we regulate the amount of money they spend during the election campaigns? The laws are there for us, and we monitor. Necessarily, we issue, comments, and we tend to scold them one way or the other to ensure that they actually follow the provision of the law. For the purpose of education of our people, Section 91, Subsection 1 provides, election expenses shall not exceed the sum stipulated in the subsection 2, 7 of this section. Section 2 provides, the maximum election expenses to be incurred by a candidate at a presidential election, any presidential candidate, shall be how much?
1 billion.
1 billion naira. You must not spend
More than that.
If you spend, we must be able to hold you responsible.
What was the punishment for it?
Dele, Section 2, Section 3. The maximum election expenses to be incurred by a candidate at a governorship election shall be 200 million. The maximum amount of election expenses to be incurred by a candidate in respect of senatorial and House of Representative is 40 million naira and 20 million naira respectively. In the case of House of Assembly election, it is 10 million. Chairman local government, 10 million. Councillor, 1 million. All these are there. Now, what's our responsibility? Our responsibility is to educate these political parties, their candidates, that they should not go beyond this. Dele was asking me, what is the punishment? You see, if you look at the law is there for everybody to see that in all of this, INEC can query you, INEC can call you to order, so that you have to abide, by this. Now, look at it. They say a candidate who knowingly act in contravention of this section, can you imagine, commit an offence, and on conviction is liable in the case of presidential election to a maximum of
maximum
fine of 1 million or imprisonment for a term of 12 months. Any governor that flout it, 800,000 or imprisonment of 9 months. Any senator, 600,000 or 6 months. So if you look at all this, the regulations are there and they are being properly monitored. Now, Yemi Da Vinci, it is sad that I heard that mommy has not been able to collect your PVC. Maybe what you do is, after the program, get Tobi's number and get in touch with me. I want to know what actually is the problem, so that we'll be able to handle that, as early as possible. Professor Agboke, I know that PVC collection is a general problem, and I know there's no state in Nigeria that you are not having so many volume uncollected. We are going to ensure we get those people and we hand over to them. Clone of PVC. If you tamper with our PVC, our device, our machines will detect them. If I do not read it, it will not. It happened. I just came from Anambra. We had 1 or 2 occasions.
So on election day, it will be useless.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. The only thing we want to try to do is, if we get you and we're able to certify that it is cloned, we hand you over to the security agencies, and that settles that. Our POs, don't worry, we continue to train and retrain our officials. Though, like I said, if you don't want me to steal, don't tempt me to stealing. If politicians will not go and tempt these officials, none of them will come to your doorstep and be asking you for any money or inducement. You are the one that will induce them, and the level of your accepting it varies from individual to individual. But for us as a commission, we are giving them the orientation that we insulate them against all this form of temptation in whatever manner that you are bringing it. Digital stroke electronic voting, we are considering it. That is where we are going, and we will get there. Again, our political parties, the issue of internal democracy, we are putting them together to ensure that they have proper perspective. My very good friend and brother, Dele, you agree with me that what's obtainable in South Africa, if that is where he is now, is not the same reality we are facing here. So what we now need is to get those various practices, bring them here, teach our political parties, change their orientation, that we should move away from the wet here kind of perspective of political parties and election, so that we can move properly. We are exchanging notes with other commissions in West Africa. As I'm talking to you now, some West African countries are in Nigeria understanding the way we register political parties daily, the way we conduct primary, the way they conduct primary, political party conduct their primaries, the way we conduct our elections. They study us. And I'm telling you that so far we have impacted so much. INEC play a significant role in intervening in Liberia election by ensuring that we give them our technological development, how it works for us, how we can sustain a credible and neat register of voter, which eventually assisted the process.
All right, quickly, let's just permit
those are the things that we have done.
Let's also take one call. We'll come back to this. Okay. Just one call.
This is Ikechukwu Lisa. Vanity upon vanity. All INEC preparation ahead of 2019 without free and fair election will be vanity. I'm afraid because our politicians are very powerful, even more than the INEC. They can kill and destroy to win election. So what are we talking about? Most of these INEC officers also have been hijacked by the politicians. So as for me, I see INEC and the ruling party as two peas in a pod. All right, this one says, when will there be additional polling booths to take care of the newly developed areas? Rashid Afolabi sent in that one. Sir, what do you have to say about Governor Wike's statement on 2019? I quote, "I am ready to die than lose election in 2019. That's Ikechukwu Olisa.
Tobi,
yes.
That is for Governor Wike. Governor Wike is a politician, he's entitled to his opinion. And 2019 is still far. I don't think we need to, bother ourselves about that. Now, see, there are so many angles to this issue of the PVC. And INEC is looking at various ways or methods by which we can get the owners of this PVC and give it to them. We don't want to box ourselves to a corner that eventually it will become a liability on us. For us, we are not ready. That is the statement of INEC, which I want everybody to know. INEC is not ready for now. We may still come back later and say, okay, let us review. We have changed our position. For now, we are not calling anybody to come and collect any PVC. For us, so many other factors were responsible for those volumes of those PVC we have. Like I said, in Oyo State, over 370,000. So there are other factors that were responsible for all those things. But let us take it as it is. If you come and use a PVC that is not yours, there is a way we will detect that. Let's leave that. Additional polling units, my brother, it is a serious exercise. INEC is trying to look at how to go about them. It's not something somebody can whimsically just locate in his bedroom or in his compound. No, we are working on it. Very soon, the few ones that will be added will be released and the public will get to know about them.
All right, this is where we'll be doing the curtains on the show this morning. Thank you so much for being part.
Sorry, Toby, let our people know that I want to advise that they should please go out and do this registration. 60 days to the election, we are going to close it and nobody will be able to do anything. You cannot tell whether government will come with any policy. They may say, before you write JAMB now, you must show your PVC. So what will be your fate? If you rush down, even if there's somebody collect 10 million from you, He can't produce PVC for you. So they should please hasten up so that they can be able to do that. Please, for anybody that has any issue with your PVC, you can call 080. That's I'm talking of here in Ogun State. Our officers are there. Call 080-3360-7783. 3360-7783. That is the head of operations in INEC Ogun State. Any problem, call him. Please don't flash and don't waste his time. He has a lot of job to do. Thank you very much.
All right, we appreciate you. Thank you. Those who sent their contributions as messages, those who called, those who tweeted, and those who also just patiently listened and enjoyed the show. We also appreciate you once again, Barrister Mutiu Agboke.
Thank you very much.
We hope that you find Oyo State to be nothing but a home.
Amen.
State.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
All right, have a wonderful day. I am Tobi Joseph.
And I am Dele Ayodo. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. God bless Rock City.